Good morning, everybody. Before we begin, can we pick up the pieces of papers and plastics on the floor? Arrange your chairs properly before we begin our class. All right. Yeah, be comfortable in our English class, and because we are going to have a wonderful topic for today. So, are you ready? Yes. Okay, so this morning we are going to talk about the characteristics and features of language. Okay, so your goal here after this lesson, you are going to learn how to identify and explain the features of language. Okay, so do you believe that language is everywhere?
Yes.
Give me an example. Give an example, which is a way in which language is very useful and it has characteristics and features. Okay, you can raise your hands. Yes?
Communication.
In communication. Very good. Another one. Anything? All right. So, anyway, you're correct. And your name is Chelsea. Good job. Of course, language is used in communication. Another question. How many languages do you know? Please raise your hands. How many languages do you know? What? I hear 9. I'm hearing 9. 9 languages? Okay, 3. Anyone who knows 4 languages? 3 only. Oh, kung di pa Choi, that's already in Spanish, in Chinese. Okay, so we all here are already multilingual, right? We know Tagalog, our national language, English, our second language, and Bisaya is our mother tongue. Okay, let me give an example on why language is everywhere. You may not notice it every day, but there is language, even though you don't sound it or you don't say it. For example, the traffic light. Do you agree?
Yes.
That a traffic light is a communication already? Yeah. So you stop when it's red, when it's green, go, and if it's yellow, you slowly, just like my little Maria. Okay, next is, so that's basically a very example of why language is very important. You also have your sign language. Okay, so you can, whenever you have friends who is special, or you can have him or her say hi and hello, good morning, something like that. It's the sign language. Okay, so according to Hemingway, language should also mostly should be learned and it should be expressed as well. So we have here the characteristics of language. So a language has words, but not necessarily. Okay. It can be pronounced, and it is and the method of combination when used is understood by a community. So, for example, in your area you speak Bisaya or your mother tongue. You speak Spanish, you speak English. So that's already a combination when used in a community or a society. Okay. Do you have any questions so far? Or would you like to add something more? Based on our little... Okay, so at the end of this lesson, in the middle part of this lesson, you are going to have your... because this class is, I do, you do, and we do. So I am doing it first, and then you're going to do it next, and then all of us will be doing it at the end of the session. So let's continue with the language, the basic definition of the language. So what is really language? So you can see in the illustration or on the PowerPoint presentation that a language is more than just communication, as I have told you. It's more than just primary communication. It is a primary method by which you do or we do things together. Alright? So language is accumulation of shared meaning. For example, the one that I gave, the traffic lights. The red, the blue, the red, the yellow, and the green. So it should have at least a common ground that you know that when it's red, you stop. When it's yellow, you should go slow, right? So do I make any sense with that explanation? Very good. So far, no questions? All right. So for languages used in communication, conversation, of course, it's a two-way process, or we also have interpersonal, intrapersonal communication. And of course, it is used for collaboration with your classmates, with your parents, with your family, and all that. And you both co-create together in a particular activity. Okay, so this is the primary or the very basic way in which a language is considered as communication or useful in the society. Okay, another one is we are moving on to the language with its characteristics. So, what do you mean by characteristics? Okay, so what do you think are the characteristics of the language? Okay, let's find out even more after the discussion. Alright, so of course, communication is around us. The world, we communicate through language and all these things. And one characteristic is language has traits. Okay, this example is talking about your language and how you speak to your mom, the language how you speak to Miss Rhea, the language and how you speak to your classmates. And for those gay lingos, I mean, it defines your characteristics, the traits on, in Anisha, this is a gay, your gay lingo friends, do we have LGBTQI plus here? So, in our town, in Dalagete, we have an LGBTQII group. And they call themselves Dalaga, Dalagete Gay Association, and they have their own language. So ilab sila dito. They read the words backwards and all these things, and they have. So you will know the person and how they speak on the traits, right? And then another one is this understood? Yes. On how you are going to, position yourself and the way you speak. The manner and how you speak. That's why we have the idea that bastos man siya, because of how he speaks. Right? Do you get it? Bastos man siya, ano, pasweet tayo ninyo. I do. Love you do. So definitely you would know the person based on how he or she delivers his or her words. Okay? Another one is the property. Of course, language has properties. We have the syntax, the grammar, on how you properly, especially in English. As our second language, it's very difficult, right? To learn the basic basic in English. So, you have the past tense, the present tense. Okay, is this understood?
Yes.
We also have the quality. Okay? We are talking about quality when we can come across with your research papers, your thesis papers, on how you are going to address your background of the study, the significance of the study. Is this study for the mother, for the father, for parents? Okay? So you have the quality, the characteristic, as one of the characteristics, or rather. Next is, okay, dahil habit na Valentine's. Continuation, it is a shared code. Okay? You can have your shared code of one of the characteristics is when So many anak-anak ni. So anak. Okay, it's a shared code for like Koreans. They have like this. So it's like they share the same language. And it's like, yeah, pwede ra. They do it hand in hand or something like that. Alright, so this is shared code, okay? So when you and your boyfriend quarrels, I hate you. And then, the bad words. So it can be like that, your code. Or, when your boyfriend is already downstairs and then he whistles 1 or 2 times, so it means he's here, or the other way around, right? Okay, so is that understood on the shared code? Next is creative. Okay, the creativity on how we can manipulate the languages based on the creativity. For example, the gay lingos, you know, or these things like, yeah, amgo, ugma, ilab-ilab, bali-bali, sa mga gay lingo friends. Okay, so it is made up, of course, of signs, symbols, and numbers. I love you. 143. So that's I love you. Like, you can send it, okay? And of course, symbolic. I am talking about the sign language and how you're going to use A, B, C, D, and form these words. So language is very important. Next is dynamic. The dynamic can be said or produced in different ways. So that's why I told you, he can whistle you. I mean, he claps, your boyfriend can clap when he's scared, signaling that he's scared. Or your teacher will clap 1 time, 2 times for you to keep quiet. So it's like the dynamic of these words. Next is arbitrary. Okay, this arbitrary, the arbitrary is given or adjust or done according to one's will or discretion and control. May start by a group until it expands and everyone uses it. So this is what I'm talking about as well. The game lingo, based on the groups and all that, can also be in the arbitrary example, or in the lawyer's language. For example, the lawyer can use words based on their word, their in the law-making world. So that's a good example of how the language can be arbitrary. One characteristic. Okay, another one is generative. Okay, so when we say generative, it is handed down from generations to generations. So, for example, you speak, your grandparents are Spanish. So it is very relevant that you can speak Spanish because maybe your grandfather is speaking Spanish inside the house, and it's generative that you get to acquire this one, and he or she is requiring you, your grandfather is requiring you to speak the language. So entonces, tú hablas español. Next, we have here the features. Now we're done with the characteristics. Do you have any questions? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, so later on you're going to give an example on how you are going to portray on why this one is a character, this one is a part of the characteristics, and the other one is a feature. So, the feature of language, okay, I just wanted to show that this is a fisherman. Okay, so what are features? What are the features of language? One feature of language is, okay, so of course, look at the picture. It's a globe and people around there. Okay, so one is language. One of the features of language is the structure. So when you say structure, you have the grammar. So I am happy. So I went to the city. So this is from the past and then on. This one is a structure. Okay? Understood?
Yes.
Alright, so great. Form and the appearance. Okay, so in the Philippines, we have the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, but in Japanese, they're writing from top to bottom. I think it also goes the same with the Koreans and Chinese. So that's why writing or the form of these letters or the way they are written is considered as a form and appearance. It can be both. All right? So now you know. All right. Okay, next is diba? Sorry about that. It has, of course, the systems. Okay, so when we say system, it has a different linguistic levels. And it composes of your phonology, your intonation, the rhythm, the lexical. Say, for example, you are angry, so you keep on shouting. So it is a system on how you express your language, on how you express how angry you are. Okay, so there's also a time when your parents are very loving, something like that. So this is inside the feature, the system. Okay, and of course in your thesis and your paperwork, you will always have the lexicon and the semantics of the language. So it belongs to the system, and the system is in the feature of language. Also, we also have the dynamic inside the feature. Again, I have already explained the dynamic on how it works. Okay, the changes constantly. So words and meaning may vary from one generation to another. A good example of this one is the new words in the Merriam dictionary. So they already have added Generation Z, the baby boomer inside the dictionary. So that's why dynamic, because it can change. It can be mostly the words are added, but not taken out. Yeah, so that's the dynamic of the language, and it is also a part of the feature. Next is the dialect. Okay? Please understand that the dialect is in the feature of the language. So what do you speak?
English.
So you speak Tagalog? I don't speak Tagalog, Okay, one worker from Manila told me, do you speak Tagalog in Cebu? And I said, oh no, we don't speak Tagalog, we speak English. So you have to stand on that we Cebuanos are very good in speaking the English. We have a very good command of speaking English because it's our second language. Alright, so the dialect varies in the same language spoken from countries to countries or from little communities to bigger communities, with of course the shared code on how you speak it. Next is the idiolect. The idiolect means the language DNA. No people who can speak exactly in the same time. So, ako sa, it's me. And then, where's your ba? It's like, this is like, you are not allowed to speak exactly at the same time. Idiolect. So one has to give way, one has to give in, one has to listen. Okay? So, okay pa ba ta? Okay, thank you. Sociolect is language may vary depending on the speaker's social class. So, kung pobre mo, if you're poor, like this is an example in the Indian community. They have the untouchables. They have the royals, right? The monarchs. So the monarchs cannot be with the untouchables. So definitely this is it is the socio-economic status of a community or a place or a culture and a tradition. Alright? So that's how you create the sociolect of the language. And it is part of the feature. Next is, okay, so, okay, we are going to rest for a while because I'm going to group you into 5. And you are going to be collaborating with your classmates about a situation on why this feature and why this characteristic. You are going to give a situation on how language is characterized, how language is in the feature. So for example, the one thing that I give in the example is the shared code, right? So a shared code is like spot the traffic light. Everyone knows the traffic light and all that. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to be a part of 2 minutes to collaborate with your classmates, and I'm going to count 1 to 5, and then you're going to group yourselves into. All right, so I will be back. Okay, Mana.